Episode 6. Here we are. How's it going on?
Oh, wait, me?
Yeah, you. How's it going?
Of course, it's going great.
We started.
Thank you.
We started.
That's okay.
How's it going? So, welcome everybody. This is episode 6 of the Travel Chronicles. And each episode gets better and better and better with everyone we bring on. Their stories are different. Their experiences are different. And Ellen, as our new guest, will be great with her different experiences, what she's been through. And there's a lot of things that make her stand out that are different from everybody that we'll dive into. So I would like to introduce Ellen Ryder. How's it going?
Great. Thank you for having me, Jaime.
No, I'm glad you're here. And how has your weekend been so far? Did you do anything exciting leading up to our interview, or just a chill another weekend?
Well, I had to get some grading done. I'm a teacher, and then also I went to an Indian restaurant, actually pretty close, and it was really good. So yeah, some fun things for the weekend.
I haven't been to a restaurant in so long.
Oh man, they only had curbside, so that's what I did.
Okay, doing your part, which is awesome. And you are a Spanish teacher, that's correct. And you are fluent. You're fluent in Spanish.
Thank you. I absolutely love it. It's been tough at first because of COVID-19, and this is also my first year teaching, and so it's been definitely a steep learning curve. But now that I have my feet, I think, on the ground and everything, and I love it. I love being with my students.
And how is it now? Are you guys transitioning back into a hybrid model, or are you guys still doing completely virtual where you're at?
We have been doing a hybrid model for quite a while. Like we've been doing 5 days a week and everything, but of course I have to accommodate for virtual students, fully virtual students. And so they're on with me, like with my Chromebook, and then I'm with the students in class too. And so that's what I'm giving pretty much the same lesson and everything to both in virtual students and my in-class students. So it works out pretty well.
Got you. And you teach in high school, is that correct?
Actually, high school, and I have a class of 8th graders.
8th graders,
so
okay.
It's fun I get the full gamut of, of behaviors, of experiences with my students, and no short of laughter and fun.
And how is it? So I remember when I was learning Spanish specifically, I thought it was hard just in itself, like in person. Just in person in itself can be a challenge because that's a hard topic, depending on like how it comes to you. So how has it been with your students per se? Like how is teaching a language per se in a virtual world? How has that been for you? Because this has been your first year, so this is all you know at the moment. So how has that been?
Oh, in a virtual world, it's actually made it a lot easier to reach my virtual students. I do a lot of this thing called gamification, and gamification is like using Kahoots, using like GimKit, different strategy games online that my students can, like, they have a code and they can hook into, and I have the vocabulary right there. I have if we need to review a certain subject, it's all right there, and it's in like a fun like game format, so they're more engaged, so
Okay.
So I feel pretty happy to have all those tools, like those online tools, but then also be able to reach them, with my voice. I do a lot of speaking in Spanish in my classroom, and I only pause to clarify a few things in English every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I always go comprenden, which means like, do you understand? And my students either say like comprendo, they say like comprendo, or they say no comprendo. Like, so they but they caught on really easily, I think, to that. And especially one of my first year classes is so engaged and so just hungry to learn, and I just love seeing that. I see so much enthusiasm, and that's what I love about teaching.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure we always talk about, and I always tell you, I'm sure you're the best teacher. I'm sure you are.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that, and like just in general, like teachers, everything they're going through this year. I know a bunch of people who I graduated with who are teachers, and it's been hard for them. And I'm sure it's been hard for you as well, because I feel like the best part of teaching is being there, and you're not physically there. You have to be there virtually. But for you, it's a mix. But I in PA at least, like they're not there. So,
but I've had to teach actually 3 weeks online, and that was definitely different. It was easier then to reach my like virtual students, but then my in-class students, you could tell it was just not something they were used to. So I've had to reach them and try to make every day fun, give them, you know, a meme every day, you know, with our like little review at the beginning of class, and just overall make sure that they know that they're important, and to, you know, say hi to them by name and know that they're not alone in this crazy COVID time, you know.
I can't wait till this is over. Once this is over, oh my god! I think by come fall next year, it definitely won't be over. But I'm assuming classes will start like feeling like normal again. Like people will be going back to classes in person.
I really hope so. Because I feel like everyone it's like we've been kept in this vacuum of COVID time, you know, and it's just been it hasn't stopped being difficult on people financially, mentally, you know, even physically too. Some people don't want to go in and work out at the gym because they're like, well, I'd have to wear a mask and all of this craziness. So yeah, I can't wait to get back to normal and to travel, to be able to go outside the US. That is my number one like enthusiasm right now, is like to be able to travel again internationally.
Will you? I don't think we've ever chatted about this. As a Spanish teacher, will you do like a summer trip with your students if possible? Because I remember back in my high school, they did. The Spanish teachers, I found out they used this as an opportunity to go to Spain, and of course, why would you not? Like they would try to invite students to go on a Spain trip every year, for like 2 weeks. Are you going to try to do something like that? Or?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was funny because the school that I teach at, they were going to plan a trip to Costa Rica, but it got canceled because of COVID, and so hopefully next year, if possible, we can you know, reopen that possibility of having a summer trip like that, you know, and to really open their eyes. Because for me, that was what happened when I went on my high school summer trip. I went also to Costa Rica, and it was just I spent 4 days with a host family there, and with a roommate, you know, that was from the same group, and we had a blast. Honestly, just being able to speak Spanish like that, to be really immersed in it. My host family, they didn't speak a lick of English, and so I remember speaking in Spanish about SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, like the funniest things. You know, and be able to connect with people you never thought you could before. You know, that's what I love about learning foreign languages.
When you start speaking Spanish about SpongeBob SquarePants, you know you're there. You're at that level.
Yeah.
You're
Patricio, el señor Krabs, el señor Cangrejo. Yeah. That's why you're there.
How would you say plankton in Spanish? Plankton?
Creo que es plankton. I think it's plankton. Mm-hmm. And then, what's funny is Squidward is calamardo. See,
Yes.
I'm teaching you like
yes.
the characters, you know.
Yes. This is your Spanish lesson for the week, everybody. So.
Oh yes, brought to you by me.
Take it and learn it. It's free. It's free of charge.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So that's great. So you're trucking along with professional work, being a teacher, and you're a hero. Everybody is a hero that's doing any kind of educational and health work. So keep doing you, because you doing you is phenomenal. And now, taking a break from your professional life a little bit, let's talk about what you love, what I love, and what everybody loves that's listening to this, which is traveling. So can we talk about, if you don't mind, the first place that you recollect going to, traveling-wise, outside of the country, and why you ended up going there?
The first place I've gone outside of the US? Oh, yeah. Canada. That was actually really fun. I've gone on 2 trips to Canada. The first one we drove. My family loves taking road trips, and that's how they introduced traveling to all of us, as myself and my 2 sisters. And so that's those 2 trips really, especially internationally, they got my feet wet to see especially seeing other stores, signs in different languages. Like I just remember there was a stop sign in French. It's like arrête or something like that. And I was like, whoa, why is that in French? But then I'm like, oh, we're in Canada, you know, and being able to see the differences in cultures, the differences in histories too, you know. And that's how that's the first place I remember going, like traveling to internationally. Domestically, I'd say the first place I remember was going to Florida, actually, with my family on a family vacation. I think I was I was very young then. I just remember my youngest sister was a baby then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember riding on this golf cart that had cotton candy, had cotton candy colors all over it, and it was so much fun, you know. And so I think all of those positive memories and all of those things just they kept me going and wanting to not only travel but to learn more about the places that I've traveled to.
It's awesome. And do you remember where you were in Canada, like the city specifically?
In where in Canada? Oh,
Yeah.
This place called Thunder Bay, which is on the north shore of Lake Superior, and we actually took a road trip up. I have family that live on Lake Superior, and so we just took up to Thunder Bay, and so it was really a great experience to see that and just get a taste of other cultures. Even though it's Canada, it's pretty close. What's cool though is that was when I first tried my favorite candy bar, which is Coffee Crisp. So
Crisp.
It's like a Kit Kat. It's like one of those like big Kit Kats. Only it has like the coffee flavor in the chocolate, and it is delicious. I suggest anyone to try it. I mean, you can find it like World Market or something. Like it's really good.
Now I'm intrigued. Is this only in Canada or in Wisconsin as well, or like only north?
This is in Canada. This is only in Canada where I found them. But if you want to find it in the U.S., you have to go to World Market. I think they have it there.
And what is World Market? Educate me on that.
World Market, I think it's a national chain that has different foods, like international foods, international clothing items, international actually more household items than clothing items, and also jewelry, what else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's mainly it. It's most of it is a lot of it is furniture, but there's also a really good food section and a really good tea section too. So I love going there because I always find something new, and I always find something like new to try, like food wise, from other countries that I didn't know even existed before. So that's what I love about World Market.
It reminds me of like an international version of Target.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to Target, I always find something I didn't know I needed.
Exactly, just put it in the cart.
Like I didn't know it existed, and then I read the label. I'm like, wow, I need this in my life. I didn't know I needed this before, and so that could sound like, I don't know if I'm ever going to type that in on the Google search bar, because then I'm going to have to decrease my purchases at Target, which I don't want to do. So
exactly. Target's too good.
But okay, I'll keep that. That's great. So I'll probably drop a link in like the chat if people, because I haven't heard of that before. Maybe I'm just an uncultured swine, but I'll drop I'll drop a link in the bio so people know what World Market is. So we're promoting World Market so they can thank us later.
World Market.
So that's great. So Canada was the first place you went to, and after that you then go to college at University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point.
Yeah.
You study Spanish. You are now a linguist, which we're going to get into in a little bit. And let's talk about some of your time at Wisconsin-Stevens Point and how that ultimately led to you deciding to go on an adventure to Spain. So let's talk about what you studied there and what made you choose Spain specifically.
What made me choose Spain? So for every Spanish major at UW-Stevens Point, they give you the option to either in fall or not fall, but spring, go take a full semester in Spain in a city called Valladolid. And they also have like a summer option where you go to Oaxaca, Mexico. And that's just for the summer, but it sounds like a really fun trip too. But since I'm a Spanish major, they make all like Spanish majors who are who have the teaching intent to go study in Spain. And so
Mhm.
that's how I first got introduced to it. And I knew right away that I wanted to study abroad from the get-go. Like once I, reached college, I was like, you know what? I want to go as early as I possibly can to Spain and just soak it all in. And because that's been a dream of mine, always to go study abroad and to really soak up the culture there.
Phenomenal. And you went, when did you go? Do you remember exactly when you went? Like junior spring, senior, summer, sophomore spring?
Ooh, so I think sophomore spring for me.
Sophomore spring. Okay.
Mhm.
And you were there for about how long? 5-ish months?
5 months. Yeah.
5-ish months. And let's talk about, like, you get there, you meet your host family. How was your host family specifically with where you were in Valladolid?
So kind, honestly, really, really kind people, especially my host mom. She, when we were going traveling, she'd always make us bocadillos. Remember, Jaime? Like bocadillos, like these sandwiches with the really good like Spanish bread that looks like a baguette,
Mm-hmm.
And she'd put sometimes she'd put like tortilla de patata in there, which is like a potato omelet inside, which it was always still warm, and so you'd like eat it on your journey, and you just felt you felt like a taste of home there,
Yep.
And so I think that's what I loved about my host family was that they really, I don't know, they worm your way into your heart. They really do, And I still keep up with my host mom now today, especially with what's going on, what was going on in Spain over there with the coronavirus, how bad it was. I, checking in just to see if she was okay, and so, yeah.
Yeah, it's bad again. It's flaring up again in Europe.
I know. And it's just too bad because it's like whenever we think it's going down, in another place it's just whoop, it's going right back up. And so, yeah. My heart's out to all of the healthcare workers, just saying.
Yeah, they're really, I think what I've been hearing from healthcare workers a lot is more so just like they're constantly going into work because we're constantly going into work with this sense of fear, knowing that it's not going to end anytime soon. And it could end. It can very much end if people just did their part. They socially distanced, they stayed home, and they only did what they needed to do. But that's not what's happening. Like, people are still very much going to bars. People are still very much going out. People are still very much meeting up with each other. And it's not just in the States. Like, it's all over. Like, I have people that are in Spain right now, and they tell me it's like the same idea of like, oh, what lockdown?
Yeah.
like this is why it's not ending anytime soon, essentially.
And they're put in place for a reason. They're for public health, and that should concern everybody. That's all. That's all I will say on that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So, well, Spain, of course, the experience of a lifetime. You get there, you have a great host family, and rather than talk about Universidad de Valladolid, because we've had Krista come on about it. Let's talk about some of the places you traveled to within Spain. So you were in Valladolid. Mm-hmm. And where else in Spain did you get to go that really stood out to you?
Oh, well, I am today actually wearing earrings from a place that I went in Spain. Oh, I have to, my hair. But
oh, there they are. I see them.
They're actually leather earrings that I got from a place called Vigo, Spain. It's actually on, what is it? The coast of, it's in Galicia. So Galicia is like a little province, like it's above Portugal. It's the panhandle of Spain. So I was on the coast there, and I just remember waking up there and waking up there and just seeing, like, on one side was the sea, the other side was mountains, and I was just blown away. It's like the prettiest city I've ever like been to. And what's cool, like the whole like thing about being a linguist is that that, like, for me, there's I was interested in going there because I didn't know if I was going to hear someone speaking Galician, which is the regional language there. It sounds a lot like Spanish, but it has elements of Portuguese. Actually, it has elements of like coming from Latin, those elements that never changed or evolved because it's such a small language.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few more, right? I'm trying to remember how many, but in Spain, I remember Valencia had its own kind of dialect as well.
Yeah, they
believe.
actually speak Catalan. So
Okay.
Catalan,
Was it specifically Catalan? They didn't have their own kind of. I don't
it's their own dialect. It's their own Valencian dialect of
know.
Catalan. Like just like how Barcelona has their own, dialect of Catalan too, and the Islas Baleares, the Balearic Islands, they also have like they also speak their own dialect of Catalan.
Okay. And
Mhm.
was there a dialect in Andalusia, like the region of Andalusia, by chance, like in the
Oh,
south, or was
yeah.
there not?
Well, that's Spanish. Yeah, that's their dialect.
That's
And
there. Okay, there wasn't anything
Mhm.
different, like in Sevilla or any. I'm
Oh,
trying
¿cómo
to.
está? ¿Cómo está? I was like, it is very
Okay.
just rhythmic and bright, and I think it's just brilliant. And especially, I remember being on a flight, and in front of me there are these super loud, raucous men. They're like rah, 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 rah. And I could tell by their dialect they were from Seville, Spain, because
Seville.
Seville has such like a weird accent. They say, seseo, they say it like how, people in Latin America, like
Mhm.
it's not seseo, it's like seseo. And they also like, I don't know how, it's even more rhythmic than other dialects in Andalusia. And so I could
Mhm.
just hear that, and I noted that, and I was like, oh, those guys are Sevillanos, they're from Seville.
They're civilians.
No way. So,
They're civils. So you say Seville. You won't say Sevilla. You'll say Seville.
but in Spanish it's Sevilla.
Yeah. Okay.
Sevilla. Hmm.
Okay. Because they would all say, when I was down there, they would all say Seville. None of them said Sevilla. They all said
Really?
Seville. Yeah, that's what I heard when I was in Sevilla. They're like, oh,
That's like
this is
the that's
Seville.
the English way of like, yeah, in English, a barber of Seville. It wouldn't be,
Okay.
yeah. Well, how would it be? Barbero de Sevilla or something? Because
Barbero
in
de
Italian it's Il Barbiero di Siviglia, but Sevilla in Italian. But
Sevilla.
Mhm.
When I was in Valencia, it was a bunch of us. We were just doing like a weekend there. It was for Las Fallas. Did you get to go to Las Fallas by chance?
I never did, but I heard they have some really cool like floats and some, really funny
Buck
political ones. And
Buck Wild weekend,
Mhm.
like Buck Wild weekend, and it was the music there was so beautiful. Like it was its own kind of like Valencian music. Like different, like in countries they all
Oh,
have
like
their music,
regional,
their
like
regional
more
music.
traditional music. Nice.
So beautiful. And the taxi driver that took me and my Universitas Caste group was just so proud of the music. And I remember he was just so proud to be a Valencian. And he's like, oh,
Mhm.
esta música es el mejor en el mundo. Like he was so proud of it.
Oh,
So proud of it. But like it was cool music. Like it wasn't like the typical like music that people know about like on the radio, or the regional music that people know about from Spain. Like this was like different, distinct Valencian music that like I never heard of before. And that really stood out for me with Valencia. I remember, because I was like, oh wow, these people are really proud of like their regional roots. Like they love it here. So
absolutely. Every region too. Like even in Valladolid, like Castilla y Leon, they had like their festivals and stuff, and they were so proud being like, it was like Pucelano or something. They'd say Pucelano, like super proud to just be from Valladolid.
mhm.
And so I just think that's so cool. We
It
don't
is.
have like such a, but I guess I'm proud to be Wisconsinite. Like that's where I'm originally from. So
Yeah, it
yeah.
was northern people like Wisconsin. They have like, I don't know. I try to be like very nice about it. There are more states I feel like that are more well known in the
Oh,
United States,
definitely.
and Wisconsin is definitely one of those.
Like the flyover states,
Yeah,
Um, but that doesn't make us any less interesting, I gotta say.
for sure. When I think of Wisconsin, I think of your cheese. Think of cheese, of
Oh,
course.
our cheese is the best, I gotta say. California tries to compete, but in reality, who takes the prize? It's Wisconsin.
It's not close. Not close
Not
at all,
even close. Nope.
for sure. I can't wait to come down and just try some cheese. That's going
Yes.
to be a big thing.
And trying cheese curds. There are two different ways like we prepare cheese curds. There's one that's just like the regular squeaky ones without the breading. And then there's the second one like is kind of like bar food, like deep fried cheese curds. They're so warm and so gooey, you can like peel them apart, and then there's like a string of cheese in the middle, and it's so good.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Mhm.
So, but you go to Galicia, prettiest thing you saw. You're very ingrained in Spain during your time there.
Yeah.
You're improving your Spanish more than it already was. You're going to your Spanish classes. You were top notch, and you are as a linguist, of course.
Thank you.
Outside of Spain, was there any places that you visited that really blew your mind when you were traveling? Like the one place that automatically comes to your head that was like, wow.
Wow, actually, I would have to say Poland. Okay. I have Polish roots actually, and so I've always wanted to go to Poland. And what was so cool, it was cool going there just to see like the city and the market square and everything. But also I was there to experience Auschwitz, going to the concentration camp. Yep. And that blew my mind too. You know, like in a obviously like a solemn way, but nonetheless it was still very impactful. Mm-hmm. You know, I suggest everybody goes to see one of those someday, you know. Yes. Because it does move you. It really is like, wow, how can we as human beings be kinder to each other? Why do we have to create these camps for people that we think are so different from us, when in reality we're all human, you know? So yeah. that really impacted me, you know. Yes. Aside from all the cool Polish things that I experienced there, like it was cool to see, you know, more of a solemn, serious thing too.
Was that a solo trip for you, or did you get to go with people?
It was a solo trip, but I met up there. There are like tours that you can take like on the weekend, like student tours, and they have like travel guides that are like actual like natives. Like I remember my travel guide was named David, like that's how they say like, you know, David in Polish. Oh. And DAWID, David. So kind of interesting. And he showed us around, and he's just very proud of being Polish. And we went to the city of Krakow, which is kind of south Poland. So it was really neat. A lot of really cool churches too, and buildings. So what was neat too is that I heard there was it was an Italian queen that went there to Poland, and that actually gave a lot of like different vocabulary to the Polish language. So I just thought that was such a cool fact. Just like, what? How did it gave the Poles potatoes and some new vocabulary. So I was like, wow, there you go. Like that's how culture spreads.
I'm trying to remember, what was it? One of their popular dishes were. Was it pierogies? I don't think it was.
Yes.
It was pierogies. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. So good. And I had that there too. They have like savory ones, and they also have sweet ones too. And I remember having like savory for you know, for the main meal, and then some sweet ones with like a really just like frosting or something on top for dessert, and they were delicious. They're like ravioli, like similar, but they have like different fillings you can have in there, and so good.
Did you get to do one of my highlight experiences, not just of Poland, but like all of my time in like abroad, was the one night in my hostel over there where we got to do Polish vodka tasting. Did you get to do that?
Yes, I did, and it was
highlights.
Even David was like, "This is what you do you drink cherry vodka with your grandma," and I just remember him saying that. And I was like, that would never fly here, at least like in the United States, you know, like you don't usually do that, you know. And so I just thought that was so cool. There are some really strong ones, but I like the lemon vodka. That was pretty good.
Okay. There was like a blueberry. I think there was like a blue one. Like I don't remember if it was blueberry itself,
blueberry.
But it was. I remember when they came out with like a tray of like 100 like different vodka shots of like different. I was like, like this is the most beautiful.
Like, wait, what? Look at like.
I was like, this is the most beautiful
thing. That, like what?
So you go to Poland. Was there anything else in Poland that stood out to you? Anything that really like was like, wow, this place is great?
Oh, actually, I think I'm good. Like I saw the like I mentioned before, the churches were really cool. It's a very Catholic country, which is cool because I grew up Catholic, and so it was cool to like be able to go in and see, you know, those Catholic churches around, and yeah, to get that experience.
Neat. Awesome. Well, I definitely want to go there again and like check out some other stuff. So
Me
that's the hope.
too. Me too.
That's
Try
the
to
hope.
remember more, you know.
So you went to Poland and you were there. You were in Spain for a while. Was there any other place? Oh, your favorite place. I don't know if Poland was your favorite place, but was there a place that you went to that was like your specific favorite place, like city and country that you were in?
Ooh, outside of Spain, that would have to be Portugal. Portugal is
Okay.
really pretty too. I went to the city of Lisbon, and I just remember walking down those streets, and they had tiles on the streets, like real like, and you could tell they were like old tiles too. Like they were really well like kept up, and they had like different like tiles on like the what do you call that, fachada, the like the faces of the buildings. And I just thought that was so neat, because you could tell that like that was what their trade was, you know, to make those tiles,
Mm-hmm.
and it just shows the also the like there's also Muslim influence, you know, like in Portugal too, and I think that that's why, you know, they're like those tiles, those azulejos and stuff. Um, and it was pretty because it's I forget right now on what river the Lisboa or the city of Lisbon is on, but it was, the water was so pretty too, and just the city like hugging the shoreline of it, just dynamite, you know. That's all I
Awesome.
can say. And I remember actually taking a tour there. A really funny story. We were taking a tour by car, and I got out to see, you know, we all got out to see a sight, you know, something exciting in the city. And I accidentally hit the car next to me with my car door. And I think some guy saw it, and he started trying to speak to me in Portuguese. And all I knew was, I'm very sorry. Eu sinto muito. And that's all. Like, I just kept repeating because I had, you know, I was a dumb tourist. Like, what could I do?
That's all you're gonna get. You're not. That's all you're gonna get. I'm
All you're gonna
sorry.
get. Like, I can't, you know, thank goodness my Portuguese is a little bit better now, but like back then, no. I
Did
just knew
that get,
muito, muito. That's all.
did that get you out of it? Did he just? Was there anything happen after that? Or
Not really. No.
okay.
I think just the driver talked to the car owner, I think, and it was all good. So I was like, feels so much better after that, you know. So
That would have been awful. I think the most terrifying thing that can happen when you're abroad is to get in any kind of legal trouble.
I know. So I felt pretty lucky.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And
So Portugal's great.
we didn't just go to Lisbon. We went to this place called Sintra, and Sintra it's very well known for like all these forests. It's very well known for its nature and stuff. And also, I don't remember what castle, but there's a really cool castle there too. That like it's like on a cliff, and so it, like from there you can you can see the ocean from there, and it's just incredible.
You know what boggles my mind? Like as I do these interviews now, I just think to myself like, America's great.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortability wise, it's a great place to live. Like you have everything you need. Never have to worry about like food or stuff like that. As long as like you're of course working.
And
But
something with money, you know.
money per se. Like you have some kind of cash income. The one thing, like, it's just it makes me sad how like boring the United States can be compared to Europe, where everything is so beautiful. Like there are these different cultures that are literally like an hour drive away, and they have like their beautiful forests, they have their beautiful streets, they have their beautiful architecture, like their beautiful civilizations. You're in Greece one day and you're experiencing like the Greek civilization, and then you're in Spain the next day and you experience Spanish culture. Whereas like everything in the United States is almost the same.
Very homogenous. Yeah, you're right. When it comes to buildings, when it comes to infrastructure, that it's very uniform. Like I think that's good. It's very useful, but it's not. They never designed it with beauty in mind, and that's what's missing. I think.
Yep.
Like they could have done that. I think they could have. But also, I want to note that that the United States is a very, very young country compared to these old European countries that did a very good job of preserving what they have. You know, like their essence, their culture in their streets, in their buildings, in the in their statues and their monuments and everything, really.
For sure. Europe is just so gorgeous, so gorgeous,
Yeah.
so gorgeous. Just like Portugal. Like I didn't think of going to Portugal just because I was like, oh, it's bordering country. But Christy said it was her favorite place, and then a lot of people that were my group said it was their favorite place. And I was like, what's this?
Being able to order in Portuguese, and they actually understood me, and I was like, yeah. So try a little bit of Portuguese because I've always been fascinated with it, with the language. But I speak more Brazilian Portuguese. I don't really, European is very shu shu shu, just like Spain Spanish is very shu shu shu. So,
it is. Now, how is your Portuguese now? That's the third language that you know somewhat well, correct?
Yeah, still
now?
pretty good. I still need a little bit, I need a little brushing up to do, and it would really help to, enroll in an actual like live class because I've been doing Duolingo and everything, but you need a place to like apply your language or someone to speak it with that really like knows it and can give you tips and be like, oh yeah, that's uko, yeah, that's the spoon, that's the fork, so think really like clarify vocabulary, be able to, and then you can pick up on what they say and even take some elements and repeat, like it's a lot of it is patterns, a lot of like sentences and since Portuguese and Spanish actually share approximately 88 to 90% of their vocabulary, it's not that bad. Like it's not too different. It just there's some grammatical things that make it a little bit unique, and the pronunciation, of course, makes it different. So.
Of course. And let's actually talk about your linguist roots now. So, in case any of you have not picked up on it yet, Ellen speaks like 20,000 languages.
No,
20,000 languages more than anybody else in the country. But so English, of course, native. Spanish, taught yourself, teaching. Portuguese. What else do we got?
Since I'm a singer too, I studied also singing at university. I do conversational like German, French, a little bit of Italian. I am learning currently Catalan because that's such a cool language, regional language. What else am I learning? I have to think about it still. I think those are my main ones. Those are my main ones.
Okay. And are there any of them that stand out that you're like, oh, this is so fun. I love this language. It's so fun to speak. Like, is there one that's like favored?
Oh, and I forgot about French.
Yes, French too.
Like that is one of my, there's German and French. And those are my like two languages that I'm just like, I love singing in, along with Spanish too, I need a little bit more, I need a few more sentences than just je mange le pomme. Like I need more sentences than I eat the apple, It's ich esse den Apfel. That's like I eat the apple in German, I need more than just that, more than just hallo, auf Wiedersehen, So that's also what I'm working on too,
Now, in addition to Portugal, were there any other countries that you visited in Europe where you had somewhat of a foundational understanding of their language and you tried to use it that you can remember of?
Oh, I went to for a weekend in France, and the only I didn't remember much. When you're in the heat of the moment, your brain just goes whoop. It like really it takes a lot, takes a lot of your like what you've learned and just puts it to the back burner, So all I knew how to say was "Parlez-vous anglais," and I was like, because if like asking someone if they speak English is so crucial, and so how you say like, do you formal speak English is "Parlez-vous anglais," And sometimes I even like, I remember I was so tired one day and I was like, parlez-vous, and then like my friends, Krista and Jen had to help me. I was just like, I feel so bad, but when you're traveling like that, you do get tired. You do, there's a little bit of exhaustion involved with travel. So yeah, that was my experience trying to speak French. And then of course, bonjour, ça va, like, hi, how are you, and au revoir, goodbye, so. Mm-hmm.
So do you think, like, let's say, for example, for one of the teachers at your high school, once things is back to normal, just up and quit, would the department just go to you and be like, "Oh, Ellen, you can do this. You can teach this language. You can teach like
basic, like rouge, bleu. Like I'm just thinking of like the colors, in French, but like I would need to brush up. I would definitely need to brush up so I could be there for my students and be able to speak more, actual French instead of just, we're going to talk about French through English, like they deserve a teacher that really knows the language,
You would view it as a disservice.
Yes, I would view it as a disservice.
Gotcha. Well, it's a huge service with being a Spanish teacher because you know what you're doing, of course. Like you're you're already fluent. You're already Spanish. You just don't have a visa mark yet.
Voila. Well, actually, that's voila is French, so I guess I better say like anda,
That's awesome. So, wow. And I'm just thinking of like how amazing it is to be able to speak multiple languages. I think of like how soccer is so massive in Europe. Like soccer is like a religion down there. Mm-hmm. My favorite part is like not the games itself, but like afterwards when the coaches get interviewed, and depending on where they are and where they played. So let's say, for example, it's like a Spanish club that played a club in Germany. Because sometimes the coaches know multiple languages, they forget where they are. And somebody asked them a question in German, but then they answer in French. And the reason why they do that is because they don't know who they're speaking to. They don't know if they're speaking to the French reporter. They don't know if they're speaking to the German reporter. They don't know if they're speaking to the Spanish reporter. So
and what public they're servicing. Like, are they like is it for Spanish speakers? Is it for German speakers? Like that all it makes a difference. It really does.
I don't know. But they heard it in German, but it processed in French. So they spoke French. And then they were like, "Oh, sorry. I get the language. I get the languages mixed up. So let me speak in German, which no one can do in the United States. People can do it, of course. Like there are those few, but like to be able to just on the dime be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak that language. I meant to speak this language." It's just like,
yeah, like that's an art right there. That's
a dream. Yeah. That's a dream.
I was lucky enough actually to be taught by a native German, Dr. Barske. And I loved being in his classes because I'd always analyze his English accent and see where his German accent or like his German sounds, his German like phonology and phonetics creeped into his English. And I loved that. That was just so fascinating to me.
So this is my favorite. This is why I wanted to have you on, because you're the only person I know that can speak multiple languages. But
thank you.
Actually, I know a few people, but like consistently that I talk to, like you're the one who I know is that like multiple languages on a dime. So that's really cool. That's really different and unique. So how was that transition for you? You get back from Spain. You went on this amazing journey, checked out Poland, checked out Portugal. You checked out a bunch of other places too. What was that reverse culture shock like for you coming back as a junior, and how did you handle that? Because that sometimes can be more difficult in your sophomore year. When it's your junior year and you're going into senior year, it's like, all right, I got to get to graduation. That's the only thing that's on my mind. You're not thinking about it that much. Whereas you had like 2 or 3 more years to go, and like you're now trying to get back into life in Wisconsin. How was that transition back and trying to adjust again?
I think the first time there was like that culture shock was when I landed in Chicago, and there's a police officer that was just talking like, "Hi there, how are you? What did you buy from this country?" And just so gregarious, that American gregariousness that just like pounded me. I was like, Oh, like I'm gregarious in some ways, but like this guy was like talking to a complete stranger, asking all these details, and like in Spain, you just don't do that. Like you socialize with those like your friend group, you socialize with those that you know, your family, but to a complete stranger, you just don't say that stuff. And so that really was like, oof, you know, choque cultural. Like that was a true culture shock there. And then what else? Like just I've kept some things. Like I'm very like I'm not like super formal with my wear, but I like wearing turtlenecks. I like wearing, you know, like more neutral colors. I'm not like super bombastic when it comes to that stuff. And I still like European fashion and stuff. So that's what I kept. But
Okay.
but yeah, it was definitely difficult. Like there were so many times when I wanted to speak Spanish, but I had to speak English, and I was just like, can you just please like indulge me for a second, you know? Like,
Humor me.
yeah,
Humor
exactly.
me.
Exactly. It just sounds better in Spanish, but because you don't speak it, you just don't understand. Yeah.
You're not, you're not worthy. No, they are, but they're not.
You,
I remember.
worthy. It's just you wouldn't get it. Just, yeah.
It's okay. We can be nice on the podcast. We can say they're not like. Well, that's how I feel about it. But you can feel
You know me, corazón de oro. Like I got a heart of gold. You know.
yes, yes, you're not me. So that's the difference.
You dare say, you know.
That's good. So literally the moment you got back, you were like,
Yeah,
you
I
were
was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
And
Like,
it's like, oh, sure. So then how is it like starting classes again? Not normal classes, but like classes in the US. It's like,
yes, and I remember wearing especially a lot of like of my Spain wear back in school, and I just felt, you know, you feel like kind of like an outsider. You do. You feel like you're kind of like I had all this experience, like all these cool experiences, and no one really knows that. You know, it was all, you know, just what you experienced and what you still have in your mind, you know? And so you feel a little bit like alienated. You feel a little bit like, oh, well, unless of course you share it with friends like Krista, and you know, and that's what's really helped, is I think like being able to really like reunite with those friends and talk about travel, like what we're doing right now, you know?
yeah.
Like that's helped me feel a lot less like, well, I'm just one girl that's had this experience. Like, I feel alone in this. No, there's so many other like people who are, you know, travelers out there, like you, like Krista, like Christy, you know, that, and all your, you know, all your friends in the Peace Corps and stuff that you can relate to, you know, and that's what's really cool.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that there's other people out there like that. Like I remember coming back home, I was like, wow, I'm like far and few in between. Like there's not that many people who will even understand this. Even the people who went abroad, like I don't understand what they did and they don't understand what I did. So it always depended. But I think for me personally, it made me feel so good. Like when I went to Peace Corps, I was like, oh, these are my people. Like these are the people who get it. Like the ones that are crazy to like go abroad for a significant amount of time, and they're not scared to talk about it. So that was like a big motivation for wanting to do this.
You always bring back a piece of the country that you left. You always had that like in your heart, you know, like, and you can't help it. You just, so when you see something like even just a Spanish wine, even just like little things, you know, you're just like, wow, you know, that I remember that, you know, and all these like suddenly all these memories just come back, and it makes you feel good, you know, it really does. So.
It does. I'm about to start buying, like, because in Spain with my host family, I drink sangria every day. Every day.
Oh, I love
Every day.
sangria. It's always perfect for parties. It's perfect for like just any gathering, really, you know.
Yep. Every day for dinner, my grandmother was like, "We're drinking this," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "It's happening. It's happening." So I'm about to get back into that vibe of just like buying sangria and just drinking it now for myself every day.
Yes,
just like for dinner.
Treat yourself. Treat yourself.
Yes. But it's also like there's that difference of, because in the States sometimes if you're telling somebody like, yeah, I'm drinking like a wine or an alcoholic beverage every day, there's this mindset of like, every day, really?
Yeah, they're like, that's not very healthy, is it?
Like,
They give you this look of like, what?
like, are you sure? Are you sure? Why are you doing that? Because it's think of like
Are you
the idea of
trying to get away
alcoholism.
from something, or and it's just like, no, it's por el gusto. It's literally just because it tastes good,
Something wrong. Whereas in Spain, they do that. It's normal down there. Like it was normal to drink sangria every day. It was normal for the bartender to drink every day. It was normal to have alcoholic beverages every day with like a moderate tolerance level, of course. But like here, that's just not normal. It's just not a thing. So I was like thinking like I was reminiscing of Spain last week, and I was like, you know what, I'm about to just buy sangria and just drink it like for dinner every single day, because that's what I did. And I miss that. I miss drinking sangria on like a daily basis. Just like this nice little cup of wine. Just
yeah, it can be like una copita. It can be really small too, just a little like memory, a little like, and it just helps you just remember and it tastes good, and you feel connected with what you have done in your past. You feel connected with that, and because you have put down some roots in other countries. Like you just, no matter what, I remember leaving Spain and being on. This was at 4 a.m. in Spain, and I remember being on the bus, like saying goodbye, and I was on the verge of tears, like, and then in the bus, I finally just lost it. I was like, because I saw like there's a skyline of like these mountains, Sierra de Guadarrama. I still remember that. I don't, but they're like, it's like a mountain. What is it? Mountain range, like by Madrid, like north of Madrid, and I remember seeing like the sun rising there, and it just the emotion of it, like I know of it being like all done,
yeah, a couple. It's over.
I know.
That was a rough week.
So weird being back in Chicago. You're just like, what? It's like I'm back. Really? I can't even believe this. It's like unreal. So
it took me a week to process it. What helped out was right away, as soon as I got back, I had an on-campus job at my college as a tour guide. So,
yeah.
And this was like a full-time gig. So like 40 hours a week, like needing to always give tours. So I think that helped out a lot, that I had to work right away. But I remember that week in between, from like May 1st until I started working on May 8th, where I was just like, and then my sleep schedule was all screwed up.
Yes, I remember that.
I was waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because it was awful. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then I was like, how do the international students do this? I was like, how do they come home?
Like Japan too, like other side of the world. How do you do that? Like and still feel sane and not have all this jet lag and It
was awful. It was awful. And I was with my grandparents at the time, and they were like, what are you doing? Why are you awake? I was like, I don't know.
Okay, grandparents, I have no clue. Just stay with me, okay? Like, don't mind me.
I'm just
trying to adjust.
Like, let me figure it out. So you conquer Spain, you conquer Wisconsin Stephen Point, you get the degree, teaching during this crazy wild time.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious what's next, because I'm hoping by the end of this year, most people get the vaccine, things should return back to normal. Life should return back to normal. We can do what we love, which is traveling. What's on your bucket list? What are you considering to be next for Ellen Ryder?
Oof. I would love to go back to Spain. I want to go back to Nicaragua because I have friends down there too that I absolutely love. The best part is I got my first vaccine, so the first COVID shot. So
awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited about it. And just being safer for my students too. That's what matters most right now. And for everybody. So but what I don't have anything really concrete because of COVID. But if I were to just travel anywhere, I'd probably go back to Spain, honestly.
Okay.
I miss it a lot. So, and then while I'm over there, I want to hit up Germany and Italy because
Okay.
I was not able to get there to those countries, and I have German ancestry, and so I'd love to go to Germany, be able to try out some more German if they don't talk to me in English first, because I know a lot of Germans do speak English. But
Yes, they do. They do. Yep.
and try like the gastronomy of like Italy too, because their pizza, their pastas, like homemade stuff, just I've heard it's the bomb.
They put us to shame. They put us to shame.
I know.
But rightfully so, because it comes from them. And I'm sure when I go back and I taste like their food in Europe, I'm gonna think to myself, well, I really don't know how to cook, but I do. I'm a great cook on my mind. But then I'm sure I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna go to Italy and France, and I'm gonna be like, wow, I actually don't know what I'm doing.
In France, I had this like bomb 3-cheese like pasta, and it was like out of this world. You could tell it was like fattening, like all this like butter and like the cheese, but it was that was definitely like a treat yourself moment, and it was just you just enjoy those moments. You really do,
Sure. Was there a country that stood out to you that when you were in Europe you didn't get to visit that you want to visit now? Like any place that you were like, oh, I wish I should have went there, but now I'm going to once all this is over?
Oh, Germany, Italy. I definitely want to see Prague. Czech Republic would be really cool too, and Austria. I've always wanted to go and see like a symphony orchestra in the birthplace of Mozart. Like
Okay.
I really just it's because it's such a musical capital. It is the musical capital or classical music capital of the world. So I just I really want to experience that too.
You got to go there to get your musical fix on. You got to
I
satisfy that.
I do. Yeah.
Got to satisfy that musical fix. Do you still practice at all? Like singing or like
Not
any
as
kind
much,
of like?
but I actually I just learned the ukulele, so I sing. I play my ukulele with my students, and I sing not as much classically, but I do. I sing pop songs and I sing songs in Spanish. I sing La Vie en Rose. Like that song that what's it? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the lyrics. When you kiss me to your heart, and in a world apart, the world where roses bloom. I love that song so much,
On the ukulele, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's nice because I have that foundation. Like I'm so grateful to my parents for giving me piano lessons since I was 5. So I have in my mind chords are really simple, and I can do on the on the ukulele, and I of course I need to practice more, just like any language, just like any any musical skill. But I love where I am. I love that I can still share music with my with those around me, and yeah.
Sweet. So Germany, Italy, and Prague. I love Prague.
Mm-hmm.
Prague was so beautiful. Prague was hands down. I don't know.
Heard they have like rivers, they have bridges, beautiful. They have like just bridges. The history there sounds amazing.
At nighttime, it was the most beautiful. It was like, did you get to go to Toledo, Spain, by chance?
Oh, Toledo, yes.
Toledo, okay. Yes. It very much had that medieval vibe. Like castle, like peak stuff like that. At night, Prague was just so pretty. The desserts are phenomenal. They give you like this swirly cone of like ice cream and strawberries, and like, it was great. So great. And it was just so nice. Like people there, they were really nice, and they weren't like, oh, you only speak English and Spanish. Oh, like they weren't like that. Like they were really great. Not that other countries aren't, but like I remember Prague was very distinctive for that. I think one place you would love. My favorite place when I was in Spain when I was in Europe was Budapest.
Hungary. I've heard that's good too. Like really cool.
What a pleasant surprise Budapest was. It was so great. Like the adventures I got to go on with the tour group. They had like the thermal baths. That was popping.
Ooh, that sounds really good. That sounds really comfy.
That was really popping. And then like they have people when you're in the thermal baths, they have people that come and serve you alcohol in the thermal baths. It was great. It was great.
It's like,
It was great.
Like, vamos a la playa.
Vamos a la playa. Vamos a la playa. You would love it.
From the beach, be served by all these like waiters, waitresses, like.
You would love it. You would love it. And then they also, I didn't get to do this at night, but at night they become like a disco, like basically an indoor club discoteca with thermal baths. It's great.
No
You would love it. You would love it. You would love it. But Prague, you should definitely go there. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Oh man, I miss. I can't wait to just like, even if like I can only go to one country in Europe again, just to be able to go back there like safely. It's gonna be so much fun.
I know. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
It's gonna be great.
And of course, to like being a Spanish speaker, of course, I want to go see Cuba. Like Puerto Rico. Go and not only just in the Caribbean, but to go experience South America too. And Mexico, because I teach a lot of students that are from Mexico, like their roots are in Mexico, and I really want to go and soak that in too. Be able to like come back and be like, this is what I experienced there, chicos, and it was fantastic. Yep. So
amazing. Well, getting to that point, unless there's anything else major that you would like us to share about your phenomenal, talented self, I think it might be a good time to wrap it up then.
Sounds good. I remember just one last memory. I remember after this was actually the clausura. This was the ending of the of all the courses in Spain that we took. I was lucky enough to sing for that. I wrote a song from a poem that's by Antonio Machado, who's a famous poet who originally is from Seville, but lived like in Soria, lived in nature because he just loved it so much. And I was just a little sophomore, and I sang it. I remember the entire group of people gave me a standing ovation, and I could not help but just start crying. Like I had to wipe away tears. It was surreal, And so just you can't experience that like truly again, but it'd be cool to go back to that same place where that all happened,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you might not be able to have that moment per se, but at least you can go back when all this is over.
So. And have some churros y chocolate. That's all I'm saying.
Churros con chocolate, los tapas y todo.
Yes.
Everything.
Absolutamente.
Well, thank you so much, Ellen. You did phenomenal. And we should totally have you on a second time. And we will after this year, once all this year is over and I have everybody that I have booked right now, we'll do a whole Spanish episode. So I can't wait for that.
Please. I would love that. Thank you so much for having me, Jaime.
Spanish episode, if you want to be on again, of course.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have a phenomenal day and stay safe. And congratulations on the first dose.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me, Jaime. Ciao.